Because every student eventually is translated into some funding that the school gets. I wonder if you can shed some light on that part
Yeah,
of the KPI. Yeah.
Yeah. So here in the United States, on average, and every state and every city is a little different. On average, a school gets over $10,000 in funding per student who's in the school. If you're a business, you call that revenue. But if it's school, it's funding, right? They're ultimately the same thing. It's what's keeping the lights on. It's what allows for future growth and services and development. And so that is really, really important. And yes, absolutely, by showing levels of engagement, and our platform is able to actually integrate with learning management software and student information systems so that we can layer attendance data and grades and participation in clubs and activities all together to show the retention likelihood of each of those students, and then provide recommended interventions saying, here are the students who are dormant and pretty checked out and disengaged. Those are the ones that you need to give a little bit extra love to and find out, why.
If AI feels overwhelming, you're not behind. You're just busy running a business. New tools pop up every week, and then no one has time to figure out what actually works. At LionEdge AI, we take AI off your plate so you can focus on running your business. We review your setup, choose the right tools, and run AI systems across sales, customer support, and operations. No noise, no learning curve. LionEdge AI, your unfair advantage in the AI era.
You know those schools that feel like a home for students and families? Well, our guest today, Ben Welbourn, is the mastermind behind making that happen. As the CEO of Schola, Ben and his team have cracked the code on how to turn schools into community hub, from boosting enrollment to keeping families engaged. And get this, they're even using AI to help schools find free money through grants. Ben got some fascinating insight on the future of education, so let's dive in and hear how he's transforming the school experience one community at a time. Welcome, Ben. Happy New Year. This is actually the first episode of 2026.
I'm honored.
And before we start, since I know a little thing about you, I want to wish you and your family as, approaching the delivery date. Hope that everything will go smoothly and healthy. And congratulations. Really happy for you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we weren't even sure we would be able to make this conversation happen today. So I'm really
That's why we are the first one on 2026, because the due date is like really soon, right?
three days, but really any minute now.
3 days, right? Good. That's the most important thing is in life. That's for sure. Yeah. All right. Ben, can you please introduce yourself and the company?
Sure. I'm Ben Welbourn. I am based in Portland, Maine now, and I'm the CEO of Schola. I've been in the education space for pretty much my entire career, but I've worked in higher education and early childhood and K-12 in a bunch of different spaces, and came on as CEO of Schola about a year ago. It's a about 10-year-old organization that has spent the last decade supporting pre-K through 12 schools on student recruitment and enrollment and retention. And we've made a lot of changes and improvements and evolutions in the last year that I'm sure we're going to talk about.
Absolutely. I was wondering, as the CEO of a company, which I would say, previously when you and I chatted a little bit before, I can say that it's unique in the sense that it's really customized what you guys are doing. And of course, we want to hear more from you, but it's really customized to two sides, I would say, of who you serve, the families and schools, which is something that in the industry in general, if we look at the CRM industry, usually it's focused on the clients only.
Right.
But in your case, you have to match. It's a matching, so you need to cater both ends of the side, which is really interesting. How, for example, a typical day for you as the CEO is looking like?
Yeah, typical day. Come on, there is no typical. But yeah. Well, right now with our new assembly platform, we just launched it maybe 3 months ago, and it's growing really quickly. So a lot of what I'm looking at is just, it doesn't matter if it's me jumping in the weeds on things or if it's looking at big picture. The the goal of my day is, are we doing exactly what you're talking about? Are we properly serving both the client, the school or the organization, and then also the families that they serve? Um, we need to make sure that we are not only not reflecting poorly on the school as far as the experience that families are having, but that we are actually making the school even more professional and polished and legitimate, in the eyes of their community. So it's constantly looking at that. How are we elevating the organization, and how are we getting out there to more communities? And that's really what I'm looking at now, is rather than, are we a dual-sided marketplace? Are we serving families, and then are we serving schools on the other side of it? It is, let's put them all together and say that they are collectively a community, and are we serving them collectively? That has solved a lot of operational challenges, but it's also solved a lot of revenue challenges.
Yeah, absolutely. So for our audience who is not familiar with your company, what can you tell us about I don't want to use the word features, but in a way it is feature, but the different services that you provide to both the schools and the families that use your platform.
Yeah, so we have our legacy side of the business, and that's the side that I inherited and have been trying to be a good steward of. And that is a platform that supports pre-K through 12 schools on student recruitment and enrollment and student retention. We have a CRM specifically designed to support school leaders of different backgrounds and abilities. And so it shows everything from lead attribution to conversion rates based on, where you're finding students and really their overall performance, so that schools can make informed decisions on how they are, approaching their community and what works. Um, and then we also have a family outreach team that can act as sort of an extension of their front office. So we want to make sure that if you're a family trying to get in touch with your school, it never goes to voicemail. An informed person answers the phone in your language, and it's not AI in this case. That's actually important, and can have a meaningful conversation with you and help you through any process you're going through. Um, and then we also leverage that team to keep in touch with the entire community that's already enrolled in a school and make sure that they're properly served. And we're identifying areas of improvement and creating an action plan to support that growth of that school. There's a lot more in there, but that's the legacy side of the business, is making sure that the school is, properly addressing the needs proactively and reactively, of their community. And then on the newer side of our business, is a platform called Assembly. And we really launched that after the team and I dug in on 10 years of data and looking at what makes for an inherently healthy, thriving school or organization. And it's exactly what you talked about. It is, properly serving the constituents of that community and making sure that everybody feels supported. And the data showed that the number one thing a school can do to attract families and then also make sure that they stick around and don't go to other schools instead is, that the family can look at that school and know not only is it going to serve that son or daughter really well in the classroom, but it's going to serve the needs of the entire family. So that could be, as a working parent, when I look at that school, do I know I'm not going to have to duck out of work at 2 o'clock to go get my kid every day? Can I keep a full-time job because you have aftercare and before care and student clubs and athletics and arts and things that are going to not only keep my son or daughter active, but also really, really engaged. That's one thing. Or as a parent, do you have adult education programs that I can participate in? Or do you have, camps in the summer that even, my other kid who's not even in the right age for that school, they can go to too. The more I know as a parent, um, that everybody in the family is going to be served, the more attracted I will be. And then the more I have my entire family participating in something in that school, the more likely it is I'm going to stick around all the way through to graduation. So this platform does a lot of things to help organizations and specifically schools create new programs, manage their existing programs around their facilities management and staffing, and if there's payments involved in the programs or events, then that's part of it too. Um, and marketing and all that good stuff. So, and then you mentioned grants management too. That's another side of our platform.
This is fascinating because I keep hearing from you, and every time that we chat, I learn more about your platform, which is basically is really looking. I would call it 360, all around, um, uh, in terms of what can be done more for the families to get more out of the school,
Hmm.
or how can we also help families, when you say helping with grants. That's why I'm referring it as 360, because you
Yeah.
not only looking at the school from point of view, also from the family's point of view, and from the school point of view, is how can I bring everything that I can offer, right? uh, into a cohesive, platform, and cater
Hmm.
my client, which is the families, not just on the specific student that goes to the school, right? But
Hmm.
as to the entire family, which make it then a community, right?
That's
Did
right.
I get it right?
That's right. And one of the biggest missed opportunities we consistently see is that schools aren't leveraging what they're already doing. Like a lot of them think, oh, we would need to build out new stuff. No, you're already doing a lot of wonderful things that people just aren't aware of. And so we our family outreach team consistently talks to families who are leaving a school, and we find out why. And they say, oh, it's because our son or daughter had a specific interest that the school just didn't offer. And then we go, wait, no, they actually do. They just never
Yeah,
promoted it an option for your family. You know, ideally, the school is proactively going out to families and saying, hey, this might be of interest. And most of the time, they're not doing that. And it's really coming out when we're onboarding a school into this platform. Hey, just show us where all of your program, all that stuff is. And they
exactly.
don't know what they offer. They don't know if they have after school. Of course, the community doesn't know that either.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is, I can definitely see the importance of you're already, the the services are there. It's not being uh, organized and also placed in one, let's go, I don't want to call it database, because it's more, let's say, probably a website where the clients, which are the families, even know about that, and then
Right.
the school doesn't even know. I mean, I guess, as the principal, right? When I get to see everything that I'm providing in
Yep.
one place, it's suddenly, it's an eye opening. Oh wow, I didn't
Yeah.
even realize we do all that.
Yeah.
One thing that I think is also very interesting about your business model, is that for let's say the principal, right, who the one who's making the decision, they can actually measure a true KPI, the efficient of your platform, because every student eventually is translated into some, right, funding that the
That's
school gets. But more than that, um, it also have an impact on the next, I don't know, let's say 4 years, right? If the student, I wonder if you can shed some light on that part
Yeah.
of the KPI. Yeah,
Yeah, so here in the United States, on average, and every state and every city is a little different. On average, a school gets over $10,000 in funding per student who's in the school. Some states have further complications to that about retention and things like that, but baseline, generally speaking, it's over $10,000. So that, if you're a business, you call that revenue. But if it's school, it's funding, right? They're ultimately the same thing. It's what's keeping the lights on. It's what allows for future growth and services and development. And so that is really really important. And yes, absolutely, by showing levels of engagement, and our platform is able to actually integrate with learning management software and student information systems, so that we can layer attendance data and grades and participation in clubs and activities all together to show the retention likelihood of each of those students, and then provide recommended interventions saying, here are the students who are dormant and pretty checked out and disengaged. Those are the ones that you need to give a little bit extra love to and find out, um, Why? It might be that they're not aware of what's available to them, or it might be they're going to actually educate you on some real deficiencies of your school, where that's where you should focus your resources. And we're able to aggregate that too, and show the school, if you do these one, two, or three things, you're going to have a much healthier school.
This beautiful, beautiful. Because just like what I thought. I mean, in terms of KPIs and measure, sometimes services cannot be measured, or you cannot have a quantitative factor of how to measure the effectiveness. But here, every kid that you save that are not dropping off or leaving and
Mm-hmm.
stay, and even if they stay for the whole period, right, for the school, it means a lot. Like sometimes it could be, and I'm hearing, and that lead me to the next question. From talking to other businesses in this area, I'm hearing that there is a challenge these days of schools to keep the lights on. And in
Yeah.
fact, the statistics of schools that are being actually shut down is increasing.
Yep.
And it's a fascinating discussion to talk. And maybe I invite you to another episode and trying to understand why it's
Mm-hmm.
happening now. It could
Mm-hmm.
be also related to AI. I'm not sure,
Mm.
but what major shift are you seeing in your industry right now?
Yeah, I mean, with schools closing, that is definitely a trend, and it's a trend that people actually saw coming. There's been this demographic cliff that everybody's talking about. It's a cross section of decreasing population and shifting populations. And so there are parts of the United States where families are moving away from them, young families in particular. And then there is uh, oddly enough, higher education responded faster than K 12 to this problem. They saw it coming. I'm not saying they're doing a good job necessarily and that they've solved the problem, but they saw it coming and they started to address it. Whereas K 12 went, everybody's got to go to school. So, like, maybe we'll be okay. And on top of that, running a school is a really, really hard thing to do. And so just getting through the school day was all consuming, and it seemed like a luxury to be able to step back and look at the demographic shift and say, like, oh, we're going to have a problem in 8 years, for example.
Yeah.
um, so that's been a really big challenge. uh, Trends that I'm seeing might need to be more specific, because there's the demographic trends, and then there's the how do we educate young people trend, and then there's the how do we measure success trend too. They're all changing pretty rapidly. Yeah.
Can you relate to one of those trends that you mentioned, even though
Mhm.
we haven't dive into, but in general,
Mhm.
how those might impact the growth of your business?
Yeah. Yes, I think now schools see schools see the problem. They see that there is going to be a smaller piece of the pie that they can go after, or a smaller pie that they have to go after, and they need to increase their size of the pie. So I'm hearing from school leaders terms and phrases that I never heard in the education space. It used to be you talk about anything sales related, and that's taboo. No, no, no. We are here to mold young minds and educate young people, and we're mission driven, and sales is yucky. But I'm hearing school leaders now say phrases and terms like market share. In our market, we need to increase our market share by 3 or 4% just to keep level with previous years. I never heard school leaders say anything like that before. But things are so drastic these days that they have to get more savvy. They have to understand that everything is sales. And it doesn't mean you're any less focused on your mission. If you believe in the quality of the education of your organization, then you would want to give it to as many people as possible. It's not, ooh, let's go swindle some more families into coming to our school. It is, do we feel really strongly that we provide a solid education and a safe environment and a nurturing environment? If so, how do we maximize our impact? That's sales. That's sales. How do we get more people into our school? That's it.
Yeah.
It's the same exact thing. So that's a trend that I think is the circumstances are really challenging. The outcome is actually a really good positive thing. There are schools that are thinking about impact in a different way. And for better or for worse, some schools are going out of business. I will say some schools don't deserve to be in business. Some schools don't properly serve families. And it is now a buyer's market. These families get to choose where they go to school more than they ever have. Um, and the schools that don't do a good job are closing. The thing that I need to stay laser focused on, and so does my team, is how do we support the schools that are collateral damage? They are doing a good job, but they're struggling by no fault of their own. How do we support them and make sure that they are thriving?
Absolutely. I'm thinking, the school management, they need to focus on the education part.
Yeah.
And making sure that they're providing good quality content. The problem is, as you just mentioned, with those trends that we're seeing right now, is that now they need to also look at the business side of things, which they are not business, right? As
Right.
we mentioned. And now I get how your platform helping them. So they don't need to think about that. They just need to follow what the platform provide and help the platform already have those feature inside, so they can continue focusing on providing, the educational part, the content, and then working with your CRM platform and everything to make sure that they're still relevant, still, attractive, and because as you mentioned, yeah, you're right. But I think the good news for them, if you want to look at it this way, is that the one who's going to survive this period will it will pay dividends, in the future.
That's
And
right.
that's why, right. Very good. So with that, I'm wondering, what would you say working well for you right now in terms of, yeah.
Yeah, what's working well for us? I would say a lot. It's a good year,
That's
definitely.
good. That's good. Yeah.
And I'm excited for 2026 now. The one of the things is because it's been such a challenging environment for everyone in education, it's forced a lot of creativity. And one of the things that we were looking at is like the legacy side of our business can be kind of expensive to run. The outcomes are undeniable. We say you put in X dollars of investment into us and it'll return tenfold. Like I'll sign up for that every day. But when schools don't know what their funding landscape looks like, they don't know what they can budget, even if it is free money, basically, like any investment we make in enrollment, it's going to pay us back multiple times over. They still don't know what they can put in. And so that in itself is a barrier to entry. That forced us to think more creatively about how do we have a healthy, thriving business where the barrier to entry for a school is nothing. There's no budget line item. It's all additive and it's all found money for them basically. And so with the assembly platform, we got to have a really fun, exciting exercise around monetization and success driven revenue only. When a school does well, we do well. And that's a level of accountability, but it also means that we can cast a really wide net. We can serve a really high volume of schools at a lower cost, and it costs us less to deliver it, and we get to monetize in interesting ways. So if there's a program that charges money to participate, for example, whether it's aftercare or you name it, we take a super small percentage of that anytime a family pays for that program through our platform. Again, that's all net new families participating. It's all funding and revenue for the school. And we don't get paid unless that actually happens. So it's not a cost at all, really, if you think about it.
Yeah, it's a great win-win for both all sides technically.
Yeah.
From the families who's getting their services to the school who's serve
Yeah.
another thing,
Yep.
and of course you guys. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a
And
business.
the other thing I'd add is just visibility. We're providing visibility, like I said. Here's finally, for the first time ever, a centralized view on everything that's happening in your school. You now have that, but we can also show them, hey, here's the capacity of all your infrastructure. You have X classrooms and auditoriums and cafeterias and sports fields and gyms and parking lots, like anywhere you could possibly run anything. Um, this is what you have, and this is the level of usage. Did you know that this classroom is only actually used 40% of the time? Should you rent that out to a community-based organization so that they can have yoga classes in there and you get a little extra revenue and funding for your school? Like we can show all of that and we can facilitate all of that. So it's forcing schools to think more creatively about what they have.
I gotta tell you, this is really fascinating, and I'll tell you why. Here's a tip from me, because you're such a nice person. But here's the thing, a true need. Um, I don't know if you're aware, at least here in California, there is a rising crazy demand for the pickleball court,
Yeah. Yeah.
like crazy, crazy. And schools, just like you mentioned, as soon as you mentioned this to me, I'm like, I mean, the players who are looking for, where to play, and it's hard to find because the demand is crazy.
Hmm.
I don't know in other states, but definitely here.
Hmm.
And sometimes when I walk by my kids' school or other schools, and I see those the basketball field or whatever, they're empty, and I'm like, they could have played
Yeah.
here, right, or inside.
Yeah.
And eh, listen, only that can grow your business by.
You have those mobile nets. You can put them in hallways. You can put it in the school hallway after school. Yeah. There's
I,
the,
I'm, I joke you not. It's
I know.
I know it from firsthand.
Yeah.
It's very hard sometimes to find. So, all
Yeah.
right, that's great. Uh, so what? So we talk about the good things. What are the challenges or the things
Mhm.
that actually frustrating for you right now in this business that you would like to share? And then we can look into how AI can come into that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I'm excited to talk about AI. I would say the frustrating parts are, and I use this analogy way, way too much, but there's an old episode of I Love Lucy where she's in a chocolate factory and she's supposed to, the boss comes in and says, you need to wrap all the chocolates. And if any of them get by you on the conveyor belt, you're fired. And it starts moving so much faster and so much faster and so much faster. So she just starts eating the chocolate. And then that's a lose lose. Like she's not able to keep up. She's not wrapping the chocolates and the business is losing because she's eating all the product. And that is how running a school can often feel. You need to set up a system where all the chocolates get wrapped or all the students get educated and go off to post secondary plans. Um, but so much of that just feels like a luxury because it's all right in front of you. I need to go crazy all day trying to support all of these students and all of these teachers and all this staff and faculty that I can't possibly step back and set up a system and a process so that it all moves and flows more efficiently. Um, that's the hardest part. And I actually got an email earlier today where an old friend who actually was one of my teachers way back when he's long retired, but he introduced me to a public school district that desperately needs what we have. And they said, we can't possibly get off of that conveyor belt to even use this. And I said, I'm giving it to you for free. And he was like, I know, and I know it's going to be valuable, but we just can't even like pick our head up for 5 seconds.
Wow,
So that
which is
is,
which is good problem to have.
well, no, I mean it's not because they're effective and that everything is going well. It is we have a teacher shortage and
Oh,
our
you mean for them? Oh, I thought you
yeah.
guys. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah,
no, no,
yeah,
no, no. No, the school we're ready. We actually do have systems and processes. We can
yeah.
give this to the entire country if we wanted to. We do want to. Um, it's the school saying, we have a teacher shortage, so our administration has to jump in and teach in classrooms, and therefore they can't do the other stuff. Or we can't look at what our our community is actually demanding of us because we're dealing with discipline challenges and infrastructure challenges and funding ambiguity and everything else.
Yeah, exactly. They are so busy, and this is such a. I know this from other industries. As I
Hmm.
mentioned, I've been to many different types of companies in terms of their sizes. And this is the worst, where you get yourself into a situation where you're so busy that you can't even find time to bring those services and maybe that's a good segue to think about at the end of the day, right? We are, interested in AI. What's your thoughts about AI can contribute? And we can think about it in two levels, right? There is the level or the aspect of you provide better services or more services
Yeah.
to your clients
Yep.
using AI. And there is the aspect of AI helping you to run your business better on the back office, right? On the
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot in there. I would say that the assembly platform is world class technology. I'm really, really proud of it and the team who built it. And they built it so much faster than they would have been able to a couple of years ago. They used AI to help them build an AI platform. And so leveraging AI in the product development is huge. Anyone who's not doing that is going to be left in the dust. Um,
Great.
so there's that. And then it was also looking at the problems. And normally, when you build a new technology solution, you start really narrow and you master that one thing, and then you build onto it and grow it into this ecosystem or larger platform. We went the opposite direction because we looked at schools and they have so much fragmentation. Again, no one person knows everything that's happening in a school because it's so segmented. And so we saw that as a problem. And we needed to bring everybody together in the school so that everyone has full visibility so that they can then make thoughtful decisions and improvements. And so we didn't start with one feature. We built an entire ecosystem to help everybody manage programs and events and enrichment across the entire organization. And so there's a lot of features in there. And one of them is addressing the whole like, we can't afford free money. We're too busy to take free money and revenue and funding. And
Wow.
um, and so there's an element. We started, we were like, all right, we need to be able to create programs and manage attendance and facilities and staffing and payments and registrations and med forms and all that stuff. And then our product team continued down that road and then started building on more things. And one of those is the funding element. So there's a AI driven part of our platform where any organization can go in there and the platform already knows a ton about the school or organization. And I keep saying organization because now we see community organizations, community centers, churches and religious organizations, athletic facility, all sorts of stuff. Everybody's using it. Um, but in the platform, it already knows a lot about what programs and events you have to offer and courses, who you serve, how you serve them, all your background, all your infrastructure, what you're capable of, and you click one button and it identifies every available RFP and grant that you're eligible to receive.
Wow.
And it is way more extensive than any, Google search
Yeah.
or even a ChatGPT query. And it hand delivers you every single grant that you are eligible for that's open currently, that is seeking a recipient, and it will rank order your likely eligibility as a percentage. So go after the big number first, and it'll show you the eligibility requirements, the deadline to apply, and the website for it. And then you click one more button, and then it'll actually draft the proposal for you. And it'll create a compelling argument saying, here's why we are the best recipient for your funding and the impact it's going to have, and who we serve and how we serve them, and what this program does and why we're a good fit. And it'll match the eligibility requirements of that proposal or that request for a proposal. And then it also is self-aware enough to know that it's AI, and AI-driven prompts are not great. They're still clearly AI, no matter how good they are. So it'll highlight in red, here is key data you need to verify. And then it'll highlight in yellow, here's an area you should have a human brain embellish a little bit. Tell us, here's your moment to shine as the owner or operator of this thing, of this school. Put a little bit of thought into this and make it uniquely yours. And then you can edit it, you can download it, you can send it right off for proposal. So we see a lot of school leaders will spend 20 minutes on Fridays sourcing 10 grants and applying to 10 grants in 20 minutes.
Beautiful.
So that's one area where AI is really serving that core problem. Yeah.
Beautiful. And it's very clear based on what you just described that if you don't have, as a school principal, right, or someone who manages school, if you don't have this type of capabilities today, yesterday, even, right, you are already behind
Yeah.
the other alternative.
Yeah.
And that's why, right.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Maybe that could be a good ending for this episode.
Yeah.
If you had a magic wand, right?
Mhm.
Whether it has AI or not, up to you, right? What are the things? It could be one or more, whatever you choose, right? That you would use it, right, to overcome any kind of challenges or anything that slows your business down and can help you get to the next step where you guys want to be. Because I'm sure you have uh I can hear that you're very motivated
Yeah.
in 2026 to go to the next level. How would you use that?
Yeah, I think one of the things that's driving me crazy is like we give more than the basic functionality of this platform away for free. You can use this platform for free. like it's mind-boggling to me that everybody doesn't already have it. So if there's a way for AI to put it in the hands of people and say, we already built the stuff, there's literally no onboarding or implementation, ready, set, go. Of course there's there's permissions and privacy and stuff. Like we can't create an account for them. So maybe it would be, heck, I don't know, scouring for everybody who's already signed off on universal permissions to be able to create that for them. I don't know. I don't know. But everybody should have this thing. It will generate free funding for you. It will improve the impact you can have on your community. It'll broaden more often than not in their community, and they just haven't been able to find them.
Well, for what it's worth, my 2 cents would be using AI to shorten and automate the onboarding for, let's say, I guess it's the principal, right? Who's starting, or anyone that on their behalf, right?
Mhm.
To make it such an easy and quick process so they can see right away and then and then make the decision whether you want to use it or not. So it's like, if you could shout out to everyone out there, give me 3 minutes, right?
Mhm.
And let me show you just the potential. And I mean, and I'm talking practical actions to do that. And again, using AI to help them onboard something, quick and dirty, let's call it this way at first,
Yeah.
just so they can get, because I hear you when you're saying, how come not everyone is using this? All right. There's no any downside. Like, it's a SaaS base, I'm sure, right?
Mhm.
They don't need to install anything.
Right.
It's just onboarding. And suddenly it's an eye opening to things that you didn't even know that you have, right? And
Yeah.
also AI will help them with the discovery of getting all the stuff together. And then, you know what? And then if you don't like it, fine. But
Yeah.
give me the chance. Give me 3 minutes and I'll show you.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
for what it's worth, always when I host guys on this show, I cannot prevent myself of also thinking with them about, what can be done. Hey,
Yeah.
I want to thank you very much for the time.
Thank you.
This was very interesting, and who knows? We might do another session,
Sign me
right?
up. That'd be great.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
yeah.
Awesome.
And before we go, one more time, congratulations! I wish you a smooth delivery for you, healthy and everything, and the family, and have a great start for 2026.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank
I'll let
you.
you go.